Roast potatoes are an absolute staple on every Christmas dinner, and I've shared a few ways how to make them before on the channel, and they're always beautifully crispy and nice and fluffy in the centre. And this year it is no different, but I'm going to show you a slightly different way of doing it. Step one is to choose your potato wisely. Get a nice starchy fluffy potato, and I find that the red skin varieties are generally the best to use. Peel the potatoes, and then we need to cut them into equal sized pieces. For mine, I like them quite big, so I'm going to just cut them in half. Place them into a saucepan, and then this year we've got the addition of 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda. That's baking soda, not baking powder. Don't get the two mixed up. Baking powder won't work, bicarbonate of soda will. And what it will do is it'll just help to break down the edges of the potato, creating that nice fluffy exterior that'll crisp up beautifully in the oven. Next, add in 1 teaspoon of salt, and then top it up with cold water until the potatoes are just covered. Place the pan over a high heat and bring it to the boil. And as soon as it's boiling, turn it down to its lowest setting, because we don't want the water to be moving. We want it just to be shimmering on top, almost just the most gentle simmer you can possibly get. And then we're going to cook the potatoes for 20 to 25 minutes. Now that timing depends on the size of potatoes you have cut, but what you want is to cook them through completely. Once they're cooked, you could drain them through a colander and then rough them up. But for this recipe, you don't need to do that, because the bicarb has created that rough exterior, and then the next step will make it even more beautiful. So what we're going to do is get a tray with a cooling rack on top, and then gently remove the potatoes from the water onto the cooling rack. And you'll be able to see that as the steam evaporates, the exterior just goes even more fluffy and puffs up on the outside without having to shake them and rough them up manually. Because when you do that, you've got a risk of breaking down the potatoes and you won't have nice big chunky roast potatoes. Next, preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius fan, and then take a baking tray and place onto that 100 grams of goose fat or duck fat. I'm using duck fat this year, but any of them will be perfect for the job. You could also use beef dripping or a vegetable oil or a sunflower oil or something along those lines, but whatever you choose, it will still work really well. But as it's Christmas, I recommend goose fat or duck fat. Place the tray with the fat on into the oven and allow it to heat up for at least 10 minutes. Once it's nice and hot, gently place your potatoes into the fat and just roll them around slightly until they are all nicely coated, and then leave them with a nice space between each one, because that way the heat's going to get round every potato and it's going to help it crisp up really well. Place the potatoes into the oven and we're going to cook them for a total of 45 minutes. But the key here is that after every 15 minutes, you just need to turn them around in the oil and place them back into the oven for the next 15 minutes. You'll need to turn them twice in total for a 45-minute cooking time. While the potatoes are cooking away in the oven, we're going to make a lovely rosemary and thyme sea salt to season them in once they come out. And to do that, take a mortar and pestle and then add in 10 grams of flaky sea salt. Then add in the leaves from 7 grams of rosemary and the leaves from 5 grams of thyme. Then all you have to do is grind it together until the rosemary and thyme completely break down and you've got a nice vibrant green salt. And the aroma coming from this smells absolutely delicious. Take your roast potatoes from the oven and then place them into a mixing bowl. Season with a little bit of that salt. You won't need all of it. You can keep the rest of it for a future recipe. And then your perfect crispy roast potatoes are ready to eat. So that's exactly how I'm making my Christmas roast potatoes this year. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you picked up a few tips along the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. These are my best ones yet.